So who are we? So with Hermit Peak Watershed Alliance, we're a local nonprofit 501c3 organization based out of Las Vegas, New Mexico. And prior to the devastating fires that happened, our kind of work was more focused on water monitoring and like water quality testing, stuff like that. And so previously, that's kind of what Leah and the crew would do before the fire stuff. And so after the fires, we kind of had a shift and a demand towards like getting some post-fire restoration work done, because a lot of people are experiencing erosion and flooding and all kinds of stuff on their property as a result of the fires. And so last year we started our first YCC crew, and we went really successfully. And so we went ahead and got another grant for this year to do this year's YCC group, which they're going to give you the presentation shortly. So Hermits Peak Watershed Alliance, a lot of you probably might not know what a watershed is. Just a simple definition here is a watershed is an area of land that drains all the streams and rainfall, all the precipitation to a common outlet, such as a river, stream, channel, anything like that. And why is this so important? This is important because, at least for the city of Las Vegas, we get most of our water from these upper Gainas watersheds. So all the water that comes in through here will eventually come down to the water treatment plant and Montezuma, and then they'll treat it, and then that's where we get to use all of our clean drinking water and stuff. And so after the fires, a lot of this has kind of been affected and burnt, and a lot of the ash and debris and just not good stuff has been washing down into here. And so that's kind of the importance of the work that we do, is that we're trying to address stuff up here in the high headwaters, so that way by the time it gets down to lower waters, it's kind of been treated naturally by our structures that we build. So it's just kind of like a diagram or an explanation of a watershed. And so doing this, we do low-tech process-based restoration. And so the way we build one rock dams, trash racks, and you'll learn a lot more about what those are later on. But the big point is that they're handmade from natural materials. They're not engineered and then meant for a short-term design, meaning that eventually when they, basically we're not using concrete and rebar. We're not going out into like the field and putting all this unnatural stuff in there to try to fix it, which we'd have to take out later on anyways. We're kind of using what's already there and giving it a second purpose. The structures slow erosive flow and slowly reconnect the channel bed to the floodplain. And just to kind of show you, like, this is like post-fire, before there's so many trees, everything, and then after the fire, there's nothing. So this is kind of what sets the stage for erosion like this to happen. And eventually when these rails keep getting water, erosive water that goes through them, they can end up creating something big like a ditch or arroyo, you might call it, something like that. And so our approach is kind of trying to use more of a natural, non-invasive way to deal with all of this. And so Hermits Peak Watershed Alliance wouldn't be able to do this work without applying for multiple grants. One of the grants that we applied for is through the state of New Mexico, which is the YCC Conservation Corps of New Mexico. It's a paid summer youth work program that employs youth 14 to 25, community and conservation projects. And there's just kind of like a little bullet point list here of the variety, the range of things that you can do with the YCC group. Right now we're kind of working on like the landscape, the restoration side of things. And so we get all of our money from there. They're good. So this is kind of our structures in action. This is a one rock dam viewed from downstream and from the river right view. This is before, as soon as we finished completing building it. And so you can see how it's incised right here and through the back. And then the after, this is after, I think, like even one or two, a couple precipitation events, and all the water and sediment that came through was enough to fill it up to like that height. Probably, I don't know how you want to measure that, it'd be like 3 feet maybe, but yeah, so that's just what the rock structure, one rock dam. And then here we have the log structure. This is called a trash rack. Just to kind of give you like a visualization too, you can kind of see how he's stepping up out of the channel in a way. And this is just a side view, and if we can play the video. This is after it's been filled up with sediment. So the logs
stage for those structures.
So you can see how much sediment really got collected and stayed in that place for us to be able to walk across the whole structure and cross that sediment. So these structures really do have a profound effect. So this summer, this is kind of like a timeline, a little recreation of what we did. You know that your kids, or whoever you had in the YCC, they started back in May 29th. That was our first day of training. Since then, we worked with many different agencies and partners and stuff, and we've been at different landowners' properties. The Martinez property is the one that we probably worked at the most, and followed by these other ones. We're at this point now, we're getting ready to go back to school tomorrow, so sad for them. This is kind of a little map of the area we've been working at. Down here is our home base with the HPWA office, so each day we'd either be traveling all the way over here to the Martinez property, sometimes Daniel Smith property, Rogers property, and on some occasions we went to the Rio Mora National Wildlife Refuge out there in the Vatros. So we've just been kind of like all over this kind of side of northern New Mexico, and the work that we did was mostly erosion and flood control, but we did a lot of seeding. We planted seedlings, and then here at Rio Mora we built some cages to protect the vegetation from the bison around there. And then we also helped the Boys and Girls Club here in Las Vegas to do their activity. We'll get to that later. That's just a bigger thing. Next. Okay, so kind of a recap of the work that we did at the Martinez property. These are kind of just like general numbers of like the work that we were able to do. We put plus because when we went back up there, we knocked out a couple more while we were just counting them. So like we have to just count for those ones. But you can see the variety of work we did: one rock dams, rock rundowns, zuni bowls, cross felling, and then seeding structure. We planted Ponderosa pine and Douglas fir seedlings there. And we collaborated with New Mexico Acequia Association because on the Martinez property, they have this acequia that's kind of been affected ever since the fires and stuff. So we've been trying to teach them kind of our methods to stop stuff, trap sediment up higher so that way it doesn't get down into the acequias and stuff later on. And so there's just a couple of pictures of them working there this summer. We did some rock work, planting trees, and log work. Some of you that were at the tour today got to see this in person, so that was good. Next, we have the Rogers property, and there it is, kind of located right off the road there to Sapeo. We did one rock dams, rock rundowns, some really big brush mats, cross felling, and then we seeded across majority of the property and planted over 1,200 seedlings and shrubs there. We wouldn't have been able to do that big effort without collaborating with our partner from last year too, Forest Stewards Guild. They're a really cool big group of like 5 groups of 5. It was cool that the YCC crew from our crew got to mix with theirs, and they ended up really liking each other and ended up with like friends after the fact from work. So that was a good thing for them. On the right, you could just see like this is the brush mats that are kind of listed here. And then there's a plant that we planted. And next, this just pictures of that. These are the Forest Stewards guys. And Dre and Eno. Next, we went to the Smith Down property. Again, you can read these ones for yourself of what we built there and stuff. The important thing was that we still collaborated with Forest Stewards Guild at the property. It was like a week-long collaboration. And we also helped the HPWA adult crew, our other team, who's actually joining us today, help them get some of their work done over there on days that we couldn't go. So there's more pictures. Next. Last, or almost last, is the Rio Mora Wildlife Refuge. So here at the refuge, there's been a lot of work going on restoration-wise and stuff, and we have a couple of ongoing projects there. But the big project that we were doing was there's the herd of bison there, and there's areas that we seeded and that we were planting stuff, and so we really wanted to protect the trees, shrubs, and grasses that we find up there. So we went out and built these cages. As you can see in these pictures here, they went out there and got the big post pounders and pounded in all those T-posts and put the... They were expert fence builders at the end of that day, I'll just say that. And yeah, it was, that site was probably the most fun favorite just because of the lack of shade and just how hot it was. But it was really cool to be able to work on like federal land like that. So that way we can, I don't know, just go from private land and federal land as well. And then last but not least, that Boys and Girls Club collaboration we did. We teamed up with one of our own old workers who used to work here, kind of, Elizabeth Wados. She's now with like the New Mexico Outdoor Recreation Division. Her and her husband are really good. They came and helped us get this thing set up where we basically went to the river park, got in the river and splashed around and looked for macroinvertebrates or insects and stuff, and just showed them and tried to help them understand the importance of them, and that basically if you have macroinvertebrates, you have a healthy river and stuff. And it was just fun to get these guys in like a role of like a leadership and like mentor kind of thing for these kids. They really had fun, and Elizabeth and Aaron. And so this is where I'm going to kind of switch it over for everybody else to do theirs. So if you guys could give them your potentially different.
Again, thank you all for coming out here. It's kind of cool seeing just how many people we pressured to be here. This presentation is just like a brief overview of the work we've done during our, summer 2024 recovery project at the HPWA. Good.
And what's your name?
It's on the crew introductions. Right. Over the course of this, we'll go over, brief overview, field safety, the various structures we do, the log structures, rock structures. Then additionally, we'll go over, seeding, planting, miscellaneous stuffs, and our appreciations. That's it for me. Oh, right. So aside from, getting paid, our goal this summer, was to, we set out to address soil erosion and loss of herbaceous plant cover, along with flood mitigation. And we were doing this on private and federal land around the Sapeo watershed area. So as you can see, there's some photos of some areas affected by the floods and by the fires. Not great, he's cut off.
These are some of our previous work structures that we built from last year. So we have trash racks, and we have water out there, some media linens, we have a rock rundown in the corners. We all use these structures to help prevent downcutting, and some of them help raise the waterbed levels and get the water onto your floodplain. So, yeah, this is some of the old work from last year.
But
And up next, I see to this.
these are some tools that we used this year. We used every single one of these tools at least once, from the seeds to the mulch to the next we used to pick up the rocks, to all of these, and then the chaps and the chainsaw for our sawyer. Water, very needed. Bond. Yeah, those are our tools. Now to a step onto that, meet the crew.
All right, these are crew. Our YCC crew coordinator is Steve, hashtag Esteban Gonzalez. Our Sawyer, Bike Wolf, Maestas, me, Esteban Becerra. Our YCC crew members, Esperanza Trujillo, Aiden Romero, Lorenzo Dupont. Our like Francisco Lopez, Edward Dre, Andres Sanchez.
It's so good. Please on safety.
Both me?
Okay. All right. Let's see here. Let's just say. All right. So it's probably obvious, but working in a remote rock setting poses many risks. Falling tree limbs. That's increasingly common as all these dead, burnt trees are decaying. Rolling logs and rocks. When you're working with people, you might not always see them. Okay, and so you're rolling things down. Yeah, you could kill it. Sometimes. Improper use of tools. Yeah. That one should be obvious. You want to stay safe distance away from the sawyers. You don't want to be swinging an axe or a pick or anything in anyone's, limb area. But yeah, in poor weather conditions, they make all these hazards worse, and the heat, if you don't drink enough water, and then I don't think you'll be having too much fun.
Okay. We're going with it. We'll go tonight. This is Yanks. You're Mr. Chainsaw. Yeah, that's it.
Right. So here's some other chainsaw field safety. So one thing that I was always taught throughout cutting trees and everything like that was always look up, look down, and look all around. Because at all times you don't know what's coming down, what's up there, anything like that. But then, just at all times, look around for any felling tree limbs and possible fellings from Sawyer. And just keep a healthy distance from felling trees. Also wear proper PPE for environment you are working in.
Who does action? One day.
Alright. We use low-tech process-based restoration solutions to address issues regarding erosion and flooding, such as one rock dams, medio dunas, zuipo, logman, rock run down, rolling dips, trash tracks, and contour fills. These are just some of the books we used over the summer.
Yeah.
Okay. So these are one of the numerous structures we built this summer for wood structures, namely one you'll see here in a bit. Wood structures are just structures that are made out of logs and other wood things. All right. So log mats, we primarily built these last summer, and I think a few in training, but not too many in actual day-to-day work operations. So the function of them is basically you get a bunch of logs and you kind of lay them down across the channel to make a mattress, as their name suggests, and their purpose is to slow the water and raise the channel bed just so like it doesn't down cut more, you know, because it's usually you put them in these like straight areas. You'll see in a part that's where you want to put them, but you construct them by gathering logs that are pretty thick, 12 inches in diameter. Arrange them in the channel parallel to the direction of the water flow, so you put them like going with the channel, and you can kind of leave the limbs of them intact on the top parts that are going to be above the channel. Not so the parts that are laying on the channel floor, you want to have that clean. Next slide. See, okay, here are some tips. Maintenance of them. You can build a second log mat if it does collect sediment. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. But if you do, you can build large log mat structures on top of them and replace washed out logs. Most successful in crossover segments of the channel, which are where this black arrow is. So you see how this is the deposition point, erosion area. This straight area is where in like streams where you want to build these kind of structures. You want to build them in like burned areas or areas where you have a lot of trees that you can get all this material. And gullies up to 15 feet wide. Fill any gaps between the logs with smaller branches, slash, bark, whatnot. And the tops of the trees with the most limby parts can be going down to next slide. This is our trash tracks, along with one rock dams. They're the most numerous that we built this summer. Probably built maybe 30, something like that, 30 plus. They can get really thick, but their function is to slow the water down, and you build these in a series, and they collect sediment and debris. So as Steve showed in his presentation, how like one structure can get filled all the way to the crossbeam, but you construct them by felling one large tree across the channel and anchor it in place, like behind like some stumps, or I mean, you might have to dig it in. That's what we've been calling the crossbeam. And then you have to fell more trees. Usually you do this in a burn area, or areas where logs are plentiful.
And like, so you have to fill more trees so you can get your logs so where you can build your kind of rack. And arrange logs anchored to form a ramp, yeah. And packing them, and you pack them in tightly, fill any gaps with bark, branches, rocks, etc. And once you're on the back, you gotta fill in the bottom of the ramp with rocks, logs, and then underneath you would do the same. You fill it kind of, you'll see later books. There you go. That's a better one where you can see all the logs stuffed underneath too. If that's something else to do. So maintenance, replace blown out and rotten logs, clear unnatural debris, so like actual trash. So actual trash, metal, unnatural stuff. Most successful areas, if they have like high flows and they're steep, that's the best place to put them. And yeah, and can you make sure to communicate with your sawyer with the proper length that you need, because you don't want super skinny trees or like super long ones or super short ones. You want them to be kind of nice so you can make a good ramp. I forgot. This year we have videos for you guys. Here's one on a trash rack.
Oh, are you telling them?
Yeah.
Darkness.
Back there. This gets up. Hey there, buddy. Don't you got more fear of trash? You see, the trash stack can be a great choice for any terrain that's over this steep. Or if you have abundance of trees that you can cut down that are straight enough that you could put a crossbeam or forested. You have even better if you're able to tie it into a stump. If not, you can always dig up some terrain to tie in this crossbeam. Got it? So you got the right idea here, putting these logs vertically. You invest in little thing raw. That's right. There's one small problem difference with but it's that these gaps in between these logs. You should. I'm gonna take them like cheeks or very sensitive. Then what your stuff in between that reef that's even more sin when it's coming down. Sure. Understand? It become great, right? You always have to put these logs underneath so it doesn't undercut as the water comes in. See, I think you did obviously a pretty good job for your first time.
Just one. Yeah, we must think. Make it out of our state, Bruce. And it's way just come. Make it to your perfect size game. That's that. So the quick see sorry. Now this ceases and track.
So goes out of being perfect and violent for you and have fun. Get that entry into there go along while you're not running. But the perfectly close and going out. I'll dig in mud. Dude, great job. Great trash rap, guys. That was.
Enough of that. 5 jobs. Like that all this goes. It wasn't a kindness open.
So here we got some of our rock structures that we also built over the summer.
Dollies?
Sorry. So this one here is a rock rundown. So the function of a rock rundown, it prevents head cuts less than 2 feet in height, prevent formation of scour pool, maintains vegetation at edge of pour over, prevent further erosion, armor face of the head cut, and channel bed. So how to? Prepare channel by clearing of sediment and debris, start building from downstream to upstream further. Further use large flat rocks in a mosaic pattern. Incorporate other sizes of rocks as you work your way up. Place them into the channel bed until you reach the face of the head cut. Fill gaps or holes between rocks with smaller, chinky rocks for sod piles. Test integrity of structure by walking the crossing. Alright, here's some tips for the rock run. So maintenance, replace any blown out rocks in any major flow events, monitor seed growth, and then design. Wetland vertices, arid areas, head cuts 2 feet deep, eroded areas as a result of runoff, and then advice,
Stage rocks beforehand, key rocks together in a mosaic pattern. Use large rocks for heavier flows, and towards the end in the structure. So, one rock dam. So the function of a one rock dam slows waters, chops soil, sediment, and debris, stabilizes the channel grade, prevent downcutting and insanity. So how to gather largest, flattest rocks for footer, which is the splash pad, dig a trench and fit footer rocks level to bed. Assemble first row of rocks to bed height, ensure about 2/3 of each rock sits on the footer. Look stack rocks in 3 to 4 rows in decreasing height, moving upstream. Fill any gaps in structure with smaller rocks. Test structure for stability by walking across it if loose. Repeat step 5. And then here are some one rock dams we built at the Rogers property. So tips for the one rock dam. They're most effective and seasonal or perennial drainages. Straight channels, down cutting potential. Less than 15 feet width. And advise stage rocks beforehand. Work with what's available, large boulders, tree stumps, roots, etc. Use larger rocks. Then maintenance. Over time, structure should collect dirt and sediment. Then build a second structure. Replace missing / blown out rocks. And then here's also some one rock dams from our Martinez property. That can pray. Always do.
This is a video for one rock dams. So please enjoy.
Hey, I'm living alone like that.
Yes, yeah.
Dang, I love the construction of this. I love the splash pad, with how you're cheating the rocks together, about the rocks are in bookshelf placemat, interlocking together between the 2 banks. This is an amazing one rock down and tight video.
There's a lot of time.
It's just really popping. It's way too soft. It's never going to hold any sediment and stop any water. It's going to get blown out instantly. Hey, but on the bright side, you can always use these rocks for something else, watch. So, now I got your little one rock dam. Oh, we could use them that big one rock dam. You can't see the little guys, but cheat the rocks. You're changing the little cracks, place them very nicely, making rocks.
Oop, that's that.
Making the rocks. He shake.
Exactly.
Oh, this is fine. My bad days. Okay, Zuni Bowl.
The function of the Zuni Bowl is to stop head cuts and fill in the background. It's to slow the water velocity and to harden the basin. Well, I explained it pretty much what this says in there. I thought I was missing something, but a Zuni Bowl, what it does is it slows the water flow and it collects the sediment in a bigger area in which the water has already dug down. So we go in, and this is the how-to part. We gather bigger rocks for a splash pad at the bottom, and then we get the rocks and we overlap them on top of each other. It's making a round basin around, where in the front it has a little divot, letting the water spew over, allowing environment for habitat, and also irrigating the water. And so when you overlap these, you chink them with more little rocks to secure them more, and when they're placed together with one rock dams and other structures, they block that. Zuni Bowl tips. Check periodically. If the rocks are blown out, build a second one rock dam if needed. The design of pretty much a lot of our structures that came from, actually I don't know how long these, but the methods came from the Zuni Bowl Pueblo. This helps to stop head cuts within 1 to 1.5 feet deep to 6 feet deep. Using the combination of other structures, same effectiveness. I've already said that. Advice: use fabric to collect. You guys ever? Use fabric to collect sediment if the bed materials in clay, salt, or sand. seed structure stayed rock beforehand. Makes it easy. We have another. This is another video. Yeah, this is a Zerny video.
Touches. Wait. Back.
I like this one. Yo, that one. Yo, bro. Just stepping back to be silly.
Don't shoot the second.
But the other side. Yo, bro. Just stepping back to
Already just
silly. Thank you. So we think well.
Actually, fellas, this is that's in people. See, it's these kind of straight depth cuts and strays where the water flow is high enough that as it comes up a little bit to all these terrain and they cut the dam because you generally don't want that for obvious reasons. So yeah, it's not a tool. And when you use that kind of an into your other structures like this here, rock right down, you can effectively treat down cut, right, and head cuts, and just generally still additional one more thing, okay? Get out, stimulates the bar. I know you from like that's crazy. My opinion is gold. Yeah, for that.
Pleasure, you know, we're never seen a gas. After that video, guy disappeared. I don't know.
But not that session. How? But call. They got like a real reason.
Alright, seeding, planting, and other structures. You can see me using our digging bar to plant the trees that are inside these bags. You can see the seedlings that we use. You can see the contour fallows that we build, as in the other structures. We call them hybrid structures.
Yeah, it's all.
For seeding and mulching, the purpose for seeding and mulching is revegetation of native and other crops, and to improve the overall quality of the soil. Some considerations you want to take into account are the total acreage and the seed source. Our source is Curtis and Curtis from Clovis, New Mexico. You want to take into consideration the time of your seeding and the seed species. You want to avoid invasive species. You could see on our labels up there, we use 99.96% pure seed of native and cover crops. Some instructions to plant your seedlings are to determine appropriate amount of seed per acre. Use 10 to 20 pounds of grass seed per acre. And you want to examine soil type and texture. Some hydrophobic soils may need to be raked. You want to spread the seed in a strategic manner, like on it. I'm sorry, that was. I just realized. You want to then rake the seed into the ground to help it get germinated in that. They can see Steven or Michael spreading mulch. Okay, for planting, this term is also revegetation and to increase the overquality of the soil and to resist erosion. Some considerations are, again, total acreage, the seedling source, time of planting, planted species, and the tools that you're using. Some instructions are to locate a suitable area, jump on the digging bars. You can see Aiden doing very professionally over there. You want to pull the digging bar down, forming a 45-degree angle. You want to remove the seedling from the cone and place it into the hole that you made. You want to then place the digging bar behind the hole that you made, place it back down on the ground, push it in, do it again to cover the hole that you just made, and step on it a couple times. And you just planted a tree.
That's how long complicated in the water. Also, it's not made easier.
Yeah, instantly.
This is a medium internet. It disperses or collects water, and it reduces erosion. It catches sediment, and it provides a seed bed for your plants and native grasses that you want. And you can make it out of rocks. And there's some twigs from last year and one from this year. Wait, no, that one's from last year too. You could stage it beforehand and make it better. You just for tips up, it's kind of like a U, and that spreads the water, and then kind of like a side base, it collects the water. And you just make energy with it. These are some maintenance, just to replace any rocks, monitor the plant growths to design a tip set for tips down. Then what we want to do are stage rocks and make sure they're sequenced.
And the documents.
Great.
All right. This structure is known as contour fill, otherwise known as the cross fill. It may not look as good as a one rock dam or a trash rack, but I mean, we've made very many of these over the course of the summer for numerous reasons. Again, these function to slow water flow, collect sediment, and these are favorable because they treat tributaries before they become big enough to necessitate a one rock dam or a trash rack or various other structures. So they get to the problem real early. They're also, simple and quick to make. You just cut down a tree, right? Put it across the tributary, tying it into either a pair of stumps or other trees, and then you backfill it with rocks and sticks and try to, fill all the gaps. Oh, and on the right, those of you who went with us, if you were paying attention at least, you got to see beans. These are at the Martinez property. It's a series of contour fells that worked pretty well.
Take that and say, what's next?
This is
So this is a collaboration we've had with the Micro Invertebrates. This is the Boys and Girls Club. This was a lot of fun. We went and we met with a bunch of little kids and splashed in the river, found a bunch of native bugs and species. We did this in the Gallinas River. We tried fly fishing a little bit. It was a lot of fun. It's pretty challenging. The techniques you need, the whipping motions, everything. Yeah, this was Boys and Girls Club. So this is just some picture of us with the kids finding bugs in the water, going to this sediment, finding different living organisms to find out if our water in the Gallinas River is actually healthy or not. Yeah, that's us finding bugs and finding evidence.